Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Jeremy Schur with Kanfoda Aretz, and this Shabbat Beshalach, when we read about the Israelites' journey out of Egypt and the danger and the troubles that they encountered along the way, and how they overcame the first several of those challenges, I'd like to talk with you about an issue that I wish we didn't have to talk about, an issue that I wish was not as current as it is in the Jewish community, and that is domestic violence. Domestic violence plagues our community as it does every community in our country and in our world. The Jewish community is not immune from domestic violence. And unfortunately, some of us are not safe at home. I want to thank Shalom Bayit, an organization here in the Bay Area, for raising awareness about this. And I just want to say at the outset, and I'll repeat at the end of this sermon, that if you're not feeling safe at home, or if you know somebody who might not be safe at home, Shalom Bayit's domestic violence helpline is 866 Shalom 7. That's 866 Shalom 7. Give them a call for any needs that you might have, or that you might know somebody who has needs. 866 Shalom 7 for Shalom Bayit. It's a great organization here in the Bay Area, offering direct services as well as programs to educate the community about domestic violence, and also a program for men called Mensch Up, that helps men understand how to be allies in the struggle against domestic violence. The vast majority of domestic violence does occur with men engaging in violence against women, although domestic violence takes all forms. So with all of that said, the Israelites leave Egypt in our Torah portion. And they leave out into a wilderness, into an unknown, into a place that is not guaranteed to be hospitable to life. It's not easy to leave Egypt. Egypt was an abusive situation. It was not a good situation. But it had some safety to it. And the Israelites, in fact, when they reach the Red Sea, they're not sure if they're going to be able to go forward because the sea looks like a barrier. One of their first setbacks or challenges that they experience, they complain to Moses and say, "Why did you lead us out here into the desert to die?" They sort of momentarily lose hope, and they recall the food that they got in Egypt and the fact that they maybe were in a bad situation, but they didn't have the same kind of existential worry. Leaving our Egypt is hard, and people who leave their Egypt need community support more than ever. People leave their Egypt every day in the Jewish community and outside the Jewish community. When that Egypt is a home that is abusive, a home that does not recognize their human rights, their human worth and dignity. When women are stuck, typically women are stuck in an environment that is systematically emotionally abusive, physically abusive, and they finally leave. That can be a very, very scary thing to do. And so it's very important that the Jewish community provides support. It's also important that women fleeing domestic violence, people fleeing domestic violence, know that they're walking in the footsteps, literally, of our people. They're fleeing their Egypt. And the rest of us have so much to learn about that experience and about how we can support it. Now, the Israelites get to the Red Sea, and it's not clear how to pass that barrier. It looks like the Egyptians are pursuing them. The Egyptians are looks like they're going to overtake them and punish them, maybe take them back to Egypt. And a lot of us know the story. Moses holds out that rod over the Red Sea, and the waters part, and the Israelites miraculously are able to walk through on dry land. And the Egyptians follow them, and the waters come come back together on top of the Egyptians, and the Egyptians drown in the sea. A miraculous salvation for the Jewish people, for the Israelites fleeing their Egypt. Miracles happen every day. Miracles happen in the lives of women fleeing domestic violence, and sometimes those miracles are a phone call. Sometimes that's a shelter, having a bed available. Sometimes it's a social worker who just happens to know the right phone call to make, or the right thing to do. Sometimes it's a friend who is able to connect a person in need to resources like Shalom Bayit. Be that miracle if you can. If you are in the situation of fleeing your Egypt, please get in touch with an organization like Shalom Bayit, 866 Shalom 7, and know that you're cared about and loved. If you're somebody who wants to be an ally, be that miracle for somebody. Find out how. Get involved with your local domestic violence organization, or your local rape crisis center, and see what you can do. Work that phone line. Give clothes. All of us can do something to help be that miracle that helps somebody over their Red Sea when they're fleeing their Egypt. Because it can be very scary, and very often abusers pursue people just as the Egyptians pursued our people. Very often abusers threaten to bring them back, to punish them, to return them to a life of control and of humiliation and abuse. And all of us can potentially be the miracle that it takes to bring somebody to safety, to bring somebody who's fleeing into a place of greater safety. All of us have opportunities in our local communities to help a domestic violence or a rape crisis organization, to contribute financially, to contribute in kind. Everybody needs clothes. Everybody needs toiletries. Some of these things are very easy to do. To work a crisis line, to be somebody, if you have that training or that interest in developing that skill, maybe it'll be you on the other end of the phone when somebody calls 866 Shalom 7, or the number in your local community. Be the miracle. All of us can be the miracle. Maybe you're the person who donates the money that an organization needs to fund the next miracle for the next person fleeing their Egypt. So after the Red Sea, our people are provided miraculous sustenance from heaven in the form of the manna. Beautiful Torah portion. Again, you can be the manna. You can provide for what somebody needs. If it's you who's fleeing, know that the Jewish community cares, and that some of us at least are trying to make sure that manna comes from heaven to you. If you're not the person fleeing, be the manna. Be the sustenance. Give that money. Make that call for people who are fleeing their Egypt. And our people came to a place where, as if it wasn't enough, they were attacked from behind by a group of people called the Amalekites, who were known for attacking the weak and the stragglers from behind, a dishonorable way to fight. And abusers attack us by attacking our weaknesses. One of the most insidious and terrible things about abuse in general, domestic abuse in particular, is that abusers make us feel bad about ourselves. Abusers make us feel like maybe something is our fault. when in fact it isn't, and we need to remind ourselves. Um, and it can be very, very hard to struggle against that, to fight that. Sometimes those of us who face abuse are left wondering what really is right, what it is that we deserve. It was hard for the Israelites to fight the Amalekites off. Moses had to hold up his hands. And when Moses held up his hands, the Israelites prevailed in battle. When Moses let his hands fall down, the Israelites failed in battle. And ultimately, Moses couldn't hold his hands up by himself, and so others had to come and help him to hold his hands up so that the Israelites could succeed and ultimately defeat the Amalekites that time around. But the Amalekites actually end up coming back throughout Jewish history and attacking us again. Just the same, we need a community. Moses couldn't hold his hands up by himself. It doesn't take just one person to defeat an enemy like the Amalekites that attacks the weak from behind. That attacks those of us who are weakened by maybe years or decades of abuse. There's no shame in that, but we're made to feel shame. We need to come together as a community to whoever's raising their arms in that moment to help them keep their arms upraised. We know that we'll never defeat this enemy, not until the end of time. We'll never be able to say there's no more domestic violence in the Jewish community. Well, if anybody says that, they're wrong. They're denying the problem. We can only defeat it in the moment, and we must defeat it in every moment, so that nobody has to feel like they're alone, like maybe they deserve what's going on, so that nobody has to exist in a state of being attacked from behind, having their weaknesses used against them systematically, to keep them in a state of experiencing abuse. Just as it takes a whole community to defeat the Amalekites, it takes a whole community to succeed against domestic violence every day, every second of every day. So get involved. Make this an issue that you care about. Help bring people out of their Egypt, and give of your time, give of your financial resources, give of your ingenuity, give of your skills, so that people can escape their Egypt and move toward their promised land of freedom, the promise of God and of human decency to every human being, that each of us has a life of honor and respect. Be part of the miracle that helps keep that promise. Let me tell you once again the helpline 866 Shalom 7. Give them a call if you're in need. Give them a call if you're fleeing your Egypt. Give them a call if somebody you know is fleeing your Egypt. And if you're somebody who feels like you might be the next miracle, step forward and get involved. If you're a man, get involved in Men's Shop. If you are somebody who can help. We need you. The Jewish community needs you. People are fleeing their Egypt every day. And you might be that miracle that helps them get over the next Red Sea or the next battle with Amalek. Thank you so much for everything you do for us, and thank you for listening to this important message about domestic violence. And again, thank you to Shalom Bayit for the leadership that organization shows. Shabbat Shalom.